Welcome to Bobby Does Recaps. This is everything you need to know before Season 3 of The Walking Dead, Dead City. The Walking Dead wrapped up after 11 seasons, years of our lives, countless walker kills, questionable haircuts, and more fake-out deaths than a soap opera. So, AMC looks at Maggie and Negan, two characters who spent half a decade in an exhausting will she or won't she kill him standoff, and says, you know what? Manhattan. And honestly, it kind of works. Quick context before we dive in. It's been 5 years since we last saw our main characters. Negan, the guy who bashed in Glenn's skull with a barbed wire bat named Lucille while doing a full theatrical monologue, has somehow turned into a semi-functional, almost decent human being. He's got a wife and son that he's sent to Missouri to keep safe, because he's on the run from the New Babylon Federation for taking out 5 men who had robbed, beaten, and violated his wife. So technically a fugitive, contextually, many would say justified. Maggie, meanwhile, is running a survivor community in New York called The Bricks. It's the old hilltop colony relocated. She's raising her son Herschel, and life's hard but manageable. Manageable is about to go nuclear. Our story kicks off with Herschel's disappearance. Not a walker attack, not an accident, taken, kidnapped right out of the life Maggie has spent years trying to build. Glenn's kid, her entire world, gone. The guy responsible? The Croat. Real name? Mile Jerkovic. Croatian, hence the nickname. Former savior, one of Negan's original crew. This guy is so deeply unhinged that even Negan, at his absolute worst, had to cut him loose. The Croat murdered a young girl during an interrogation. Negan tried to kill him for it, only managed to blow off the Croat's right ear. And in the confusion, he escaped. One ear, but still full psycho. Now, he's running Manhattan with his gang, the Barazzi, using Madison Square Garden as his personal throne room. It's basically a twisted, low-budget remix of everything Negan built with the Saviors. Same vibes, worse hygiene, and fewer leather jackets. So Maggie goes to find Negan, which for Maggie ranks somewhere between root canal and rewatching the Glenn tape on loop. But the Croat is a former savior. Negan is her only leverage. She swallows her pride and makes a deal. In exchange for Negan's help, Maggie will give a home at the Bricks to Ginny, a young, selectively mute girl who's been staying with Negan. Ginny stopped speaking after the traumatic death of her father. She's small, she's quiet, and she's apparently the emotional backbone of this entire show. Negan agrees. They head to Manhattan. Ginny is supposed to stay at the Bricks. Instead, she steals a motorcycle and follows them. She's 11 and either fearless or dumb. Either way, I kind of like her. Also following them, Pearlie Armstrong, New Babylon's lead marshal. So obsessed with catching Negan that he accidentally kills his own junior marshal, Jano, during his first attempt to capture Negan. Rough start there, Pearlie. In the city, they link up with the tribespeople, a ragged band of survivors who've been dodging the Barazzi for months. They know the Croats' routes through the old Penn Station subway tunnels, and they're willing to trade that knowledge for protection. So the plan is simple. Hit Madison Square Garden, grab Herschel, take out the Croat, clean and easy. Yeah, about that. The Croat is ready and waiting. He evacuates his people, floods the arena with walkers, and uses the sound and light systems to basically DJ the dead directly into the tribespeople. It's a massacre. Amaya and Tommaso, two of the survivors who helped them get there, escape into the sewers with Maggie and Ginny, who just caught up to him, by the way. Negan gets his face-to-face with the Croat, who greets him like they're old college buddies catching up. I guess there's no hard feelings on his end. The Croat tries to take out Pearlie as a welcome gift, but Negan saves Pearlie's life. And after they escape, Pearlie immediately holds Negan at gunpoint. So much for quid pro quo. However, after some bro time, they do eventually work together. Meanwhile, in the sewers, the truth comes out. Tommaso sold them out. He made a deal with the Croat for a boat and a fresh start on the mainland. He traded his tribe, his family, for a boat. a boat to take him to more walkers and fewer friends now. Not a great plan, Tommaso. It was all for nothing. He and Amaya both don't make it out of the sewers. On their way out, Maggie fights a massive fused-together walker, multiple zombies merged into one giant, horrifying super walker, and wins. Because if you haven't been paying attention, she's a 120-pound Rambo. After they emerge from the sewers, Ginny fires a flare, Negan sees it, and the crew meets back up. Then comes the gut punch. Negan figures it out. Maggie's plan was never a rescue mission with him as backup. She was going to trade him, hand him over to the Croat, get Herschel back. That was always the deal. And Negan, deep in his redemption arc, apparently getting extra credit for emotional punishment, decides not to fight it. But wait, Ginny. Negan needed her to be safe, so he told her the truth. Her father was one of the 5 men he killed, one of the men who hurt his wife. He didn't take Ginny in out of love, not at first. It was guilt for a debt he could never fully pay. Ginny was gutted and left with Pearlie. So now Negan's a prisoner of the Croat, and it looks like Maggie is actually regretting her decision. But in the end, Negan goes with the Croat willingly. Maggie leaves with Herschel, she has her son back, and for about 30 seconds, season 1 looks like it's wrapping up. But back in Manhattan, the Dama steps out of the shadows. She's calm, completely unsettlingly calm. No panic, no anger, just creepy cat lady vibes. She's the real power in Manhattan. The Croat isn't the boss. He's the attack dog. She's the architect. She's been watching the entire time because she needs Negan, someone who can actually lead, someone who has built a following and knows how to actually make people fear him while still inspiring loyalty. She makes him an offer. Season 2. Season 1 ended with the real power in Manhattan stepping out of the shadows. A woman called the Dama. She wanted Negan and used Herschel to lure him in. Before the world ended, the Dama was a theater critic, and not a chill one. She physically attacked a playwright she reviewed. And in the apocalypse, that energy found a bigger outlet. Now she runs Manhattan on methane harvested by decomposing walkers. It's gross, but gas is gas and energy's power. Her pitch is simple. Annie and Joshua are being held in Missouri. Be my general or they suffer. Family comes first, so Negan takes the deal. Partially because he has no choice, but also partially because he hopes he'll be able to get out of this situation as he has time and time again. His only real friend inside Manhattan is Victor. He's quiet, thoughtful, and plays the violin. There's some irony there. Negan makes his first mistake, delays a cannon attack just long enough to let Herschel off a boat. Tiny act of mercy. The Dama responds by taking out his only friend Victor right in front of him. It's a shockingly clear message. Meanwhile, New Babylon wants Manhattan's methane. They send Governor Charlie Bird, Pearlie Armstrong, and a small military force to secure the methane. And the Dama responds with methane bombs. Charlie Bird does not make it, but most of the party does survive due to Negan's help. This is the same boat Maggie and Herschel were on that I mentioned earlier. The survivors make it to shore, and now Lieutenant Lucia Narvaez is in charge. Wasting no time, she seizes the Foragers, a peaceful group living in Central Park, and publicly hangs their leader Roxana when she refuses to join them. I guess she's a fan of shocking clear messages as well. Her next move is arresting Pearlie for lying about killing Negan. The person who gave him up was Ginny. He gave her a ride home last season. I guess no good deed goes unpunished. Enter Bruegel. He runs a rival gang, the Silk Stockings, and his main power in the city revolves around running Walker gladiator fights. His star attraction is Tony, undefeated, unstoppable, also not a walker. He's a beast of a man dressed up to rig fights. Negan figures it out. This forces Bruegel to slit Tony's throat in order to hide the truth. Now, Negan has leverage on him, and his champion is gone, which means he has every reason to want Negan dead. The Croat has been the Dama's loyal attack dog since season 1. Negan decides to use that against her. He quietly works on the Croat's paranoia, tells him the Dama sees him as disposable, that she's planning to cut him loose. The Croat, whose entire identity is built around loyalty and being chosen, can't shake it. After a heated argument, he abandons her inside a burning office and just walks away. Even the most loyal dog will turn after enough abuse. With the Dama gone, Negan seizes the opportunity and takes complete control. And when the Croat figures out he was played, he confronts Negan. Negan just exiles him. He really might not be the same man he used to be. Meanwhile, a lot has happened to the New Babylon group. They had to take out Lucia after she tried to hang them for treason. They ran into Bruegel, and now Perlee is begrudgingly working with him to take down Negan. And basically everyone's gotten split up. Maggie's lost track of Herschel and Ginny. Ginny has been seeking revenge for her father and planning to take Negan out this entire season. She finally finds him, but she was injured earlier during the standoff with Lucia. She collapses before she can pull the trigger. Negan, of course, gets her to safety, but she's got a bad infection. He tries to get antibiotics for Ginny, but runs into horrifying Walker children. He hesitates too long and takes a nasty hit to the head. Now, he's concussed, hallucinating, and fails to find any antibiotics for Ginny. Rough day. Meanwhile, Maggie finds the exiled Croat, and he tells her what she suspected, but was afraid to actually know. Back in season 1, the Dama got in Herschel's head. She turned him. He felt like Maggie had disappeared so completely into her grief over Glenn and her obsession with Negan that there was nothing left for him. The Dama used that to brainwash Herschel. He actually volunteered the tow she used to manipulate Negan. And it gets worse. Herschel lit a tire fire to warn the Dama that they were coming. He's the reason the Dama was ready for the boat she blew up with those methane bombs earlier. So Maggie forces the Croat to help her find Herschel. On the journey, they cross a glass sky bridge together. She freezes. Now, the show frames it as her fear of heights, but the camera lingers on her face just a beat too long, and you start to wonder, is she scared of falling or thinking about it? Why don't you tell me? After the rough journey, the Croat quietly disappears, and Maggie finds Herschel. But that's not all she finds. Turns out the Dama is still alive. She's one tough cookie. Maggie's briefly held captive, then Herschel gives her an ultimatum. Take out Negan and we can be a family again. So, easy enough, she leaves to find Negan. Meanwhile, Bruegel and Perlee show up at the church to take out Negan, but he's ready. He uses the oldest trick in the apocalypse, set fires everywhere and release walkers on Bruegel and his men. It's become classic at this point, what can I say? After the carnage, Negan captures Bruegel and Perlee. He starts doing the famous eeny, meeny, miny, moe with Lucille 2.0, the bat. But little does he know, Maggie has arrived and is hiding and hearing all of this. And she is having some serious PTSD. Moe lands on Perlee, but Negan flips the script, shoves a methane tube down Bruegel's throat, and lights it. I guess there is a little bit of the old Negan still in there. Perlee breaks free and bolts. Negan goes after him alone, and while he's distracted, Maggie stabs him in the back and takes Lucille. Maggie stands over Negan holding his bat. Perlee stands silently behind her. She's been waiting years for this moment. It looks like Negan is trying to crawl away to safety, but then Maggie realizes what he's doing. He's trying to make his way to Ginny. The infection won and Ginny has turned. Maggie looks at Negan breaking down right in front of her, and she finally decides to break the circle of violence. She hands Negan a knife, and he puts the little girl he learned to love down. After the chaos, Maggie leaves the two of them and returns to Herschel. He can tell just from the look on her face that she didn't follow through on their deal. She asks him to come home. He says no. So she does all she can do. She tells him she won't leave Manhattan and she will be there if he needs her. Now, Negan, Maggie, and Perlee Three people with no business being in the same room without weapons drawn hide together, watching New Babylon forces close in from every direction as they take the city over. It's going to be a very different city in Season 3, and that's where The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2 comes to an end. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to recapping another show for you very soon.